kind of woman that will actually just kill me.
Okay, yeah, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it.
Alright, here we go, everybody. 1, 2, 3, let's go. Welcome to the Cowboy Bebop episode of the Tokyo Podfathers podcast. Here with me is Based Becker and Mozilla Fennekin. How are you guys?
Yes.
Sure. Why not?
Cool. That's exactly the energy I want because that's how we're feeling right now. And in this episode, you may have looked at it and rolled your eyes. We're talking about the Bebop live action.
What do you mean may have looked at it? Like, how do you listen to an episode without looking at it? Like, what does that mean?
The thumbnail. This thumbnail needs to be cringy. I'm just throwing it out there, whoever's doing thumbnail for this episode.
Usually Becker.
Okay, fair enough.
Dude, did you see Mother's Basement's thumbnail? They put, like, the actual animated, like, you know, shot of the Bebop crew, but then the middle person who's Ed is the live action Ed. And it's big oof.
Mother's Basement's thumbnails are generally terrible, so would if we get to the point where we're making Mother's Basement tier thumbnails, I'm quitting and killing myself.
I always thought I shouldn't say anything then. Our thumbnails
that was
are
heavy.
Okay. No, our thumbnails are pretty good. It's just I personally just not someone who clicks on something because of the thumbnail, because I'm not a child.
Plus, it doesn't matter because this episode, I'm going to title this episode. We're talking about Cowboy Bebop and Cowboy Bebop.
No, it's Cowboy Boo Boo Bop Boo Boo Bop.
Boo, 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 boo. Hey guys, have you seen this new TV show on Netflix called Cowboy Bebop? I hear they're making a cartoon out of it.
I'm gonna kill you. No, I'm so. Oh, okay. So
I don't think Bacon understands who Mose is referencing with that.
Wait, am I referencing someone?
I thought you were doing a Cal Chuchesta voice.
I am a glab 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 glabby 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 glab.
Oh,
I wasn't thinking about that, but yeah, I was just doing just a random voice.
You're just doing a random Wisconsin person voice.
I have been watching a lot of Red Letter Media lately.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're from Milwaukee. That's right. Yeah,
he makes solid content on all movies, right? He does like movie reviews.
They mostly
and stuff
watch
like that.
new movies, but they sometimes do old movies.
Yeah. I think I found them through the rabbit hole when I was watching, like, obviously a bunch of angry video game nerd stuff, and I was like, Red Letter Media is kind of like the same thing. Like, they watch movies and they just do deep analysis on everything.
They just sit there and drink beer and just talk about it for 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think my favorite episode from them was when they were just showing their entire catalog of movie VHSs inside their basement. It's like massive.
So much. I need something like that.
VCR. Yeah. Well, speaking of favorite episodes, what's your favorite episode of Cowboy Bop It?
Oh, God. It's the live action. Okay, so I'm just going to put it out there right now. Obviously, I am not a fan of the entire live action.
What the fuck? There's like shit all over my microphone. What the fuck is this shit?
It's Bebop. See, I told you. We're talking about Bebop and it ended up on your microphone, man.
Oh, no. I hate it when that happens.
I know. Like, okay, where do I start? Like, that's how frustrated I am. So, I'll start with the story, okay? They got one thing that the series got right was the setting, right? You know, the CGI space, you know, showing all the ships and kind of like the grimy outskirts of the
Wait, are you talking about the
cities.
anime or the Netflix series?
I think he's talking about the Netflix series.
Okay, we should be like really clear that we're talking about the Netflix series.
Okay,
right now.
so for the next section of this conversation, let's focus strictly on the Netflix series. Mainly because I like to assume that everyone...
Do we want to just talk about what we liked about it? Because that's a very short list.
Exactly. We'll get into it. You know,
okay.
We got time. This doesn't have to be hours long, but, you know, if you catch my drift. But...
I catch your Tokyo drift, sure.
Yeah. Sure, dude. Oh, God, I love Tokyo Drift. So the thing that they got right, the things I liked, first of all, was I really enjoyed how the setting was. We're in space. We're in all of these weird galaxy-like areas, and, like, you know, it's kind of like the grimy retro city, kind of like almost like a cyberpunk kind of feel. You know, you got people with, like, body mods. You got all these neon signs, but
body
still kind of...
mods.
Yeah, body mods, you know. Like, no, I'm talking modifications, like, and, like, all a world where like things like holograms and like ship scannings and all that stuff. Like they got that right. But
so I think that I'm just gonna like write on that.
Yeah.
Right on these nuts. And I think that people are like confused because I think Shinichiro Watanabe is listed as a consultant. And then because some people are really upset with this adaptation, they're just like, what the fuck did he do? Like, how did he like let this get through?
That doesn't count.
I don't think he had much like to do with it. Like low key,
He didn't.
You're talking about like how good the setting is and how good like some of the attention to detail is. And I think that's where Watanabe comes in. Because I think the style of Watanabe, like what's special about the anime of Bebop is that whatever world they go into, it just has this very tangible feeling to it. Like you really understand what this place is like. If it's a world where with a lot of people, then you can kind of get a sense of what it's like to live in this world, the culture of this world.
Yes.
Or if it's like a kind of broken, rundown world, then you get that really strong sense of like desolateness, and so
right.
I think that he helped like kind of craft the settings of this live action series, and I think that's what they got right, and I think
right.
That's where he helped
I would agree with that for sure, because there are times in Bebop where even based off the episode, you can kind of tell what kind of based off the setting, you can tell what kind of episode we're going to have. Mm-hmm. When it's kind of more not really lighthearted, but kind of not as dark as you think, you get more brightness to the world. You get more kind of liveliness to the people that are walking around. But when it becomes like a very dark episode, like the Pere LeFew guy, the guy
it's
with
very black. It's all
black
like
and
super
white,
black shading. Yeah.
Deserted, almost like a horror movie kind of thing. And Maz, you're right. It's like basically where they're at is pretty what's going to be setting the tone of the story. And in the live action on Netflix, like they kind of get that, but there are times where the dialogue and the narrative doesn't match necessarily with the settings like following after. Sometimes there are times where there'll be like more or less a serious situation in a dark room, and like me and Becker talked about a few days ago, it's like there's a serious situation and they always break that seriousness with the weirdest quips, like teenagers, Like how cringy is the quipping, first of all, Becker, and like the whole, oh hey guy, you're such a dick, or oh yeah,
or the term nutbags. What is a nutbag? Is that like a nut sack? Is that is that what's going on? Like,
so sorry to cut you off there, but like that's one thing that really does stick out with if we go by
in the bad way, I would say. Like I'm just like
very bad. Well, here's my problem. Oh my God, because we're jumping all over the place, but that's fine. Just if we look at the cast, right? The actress for Faye, my problem is that she talks like a teenager. Like the quips aren't
that's less
even
of
that.
That's less of an actor problem. I think that's more of a script problem, because I think most of these roles are performed pretty well.
Yeah.
Right. Apologies.
It's just
like,
that like
no,
the script and dialogue that they are given just like sucks ass. Like it just does not work for the show.
Right.
Or for
I'll say this: the entire cast, like I don't hate any of them. I'm not that kind of idiot on social media to like DM John Cho and be like, you're the worst Spike ever. No. I'm not that kind of person, but you're right. The dialogue
I think the actors are given way too much shit for like the job that they've been given to perform.
Oh yeah. Because they don't represent the entire franchise, even though they are the face of the franchise.
Yeah.
So, but going off of that, and I get why, I haven't read into this. I haven't seen proof, but from what other people told me about her own social media, how she kind of lashed out on the fan base, calling us a bunch of like, bearded losers and all that stuff.
A lot of fans were lashing out at her. Like they started that shit.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not saying that what she did was like correct, but like
it's not her
honestly
fault.
Like fuck it. If I was getting like harassed by fans all the time, yeah, I would probably lash out too. Fuck them. Honestly.
Oh yeah.
Fuck
no,
people.
I don't know where you're going with this, but it's just like I don't think she did anything wrong.
What was the original? But we were talking about the setting and things like that, and then and then that turned into like problems with the script.
It turned into culture war shit. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No. I like going on different tangents all left and right. It's okay.
Well, I want to make this podcast a little more.
I was
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, rolling it back. Let's just
stick to the. Can we just call it Flixbop? Because
let's just restart the whole podcast.
No.
We low key should. I almost feel like that, but let's just keep going.
Fine.
Fuck it.
We're
Fuck
fine.
it.
Okay. So going back to the setting. Okay, setting was great because it's everything that I would have wanted. Space, cyberpunk, all that stuff. Now, if we move down to the characters, right? I know there was a lot of things that were talked about in terms of first thing you get is the look of the characters. Costume of the characters, great, in my opinion.
I actually think the costume of the characters is works fine. Considering
it's awesome.
it's live action, you can't perform and say anime phase outfit. That doesn't work. I've done theater. I've performed in I wouldn't say skimpy outfits, but I've performed in okay, that's not really what I mean. Shut up.
Sorry. Right.
When you perform on stage, or in this case for television, you have to wear something that lasts, that is durable, that you can do stunts in, essentially, that you can move around a lot without, destroying it. So right. If you wanted Faye to dress up as a cosplayer, then by all means go ahead. It's just not gonna work for television, if that makes sense. That's just not practical in any sense.
Pretty much asking her to dress up in a bikini at that point, and I get that. I don't need her to dress up.
You don't need Quiet from Metal Gear Solid or some shit.
Oh,
here's the thing. I think what people have kind of forgotten in the midst of all the controversies that of course people were negatively reacting to the announcement of the Bebop live action, because it's
this was announced
years ago.
It was
2019 or something.
2019 or so, yeah. And I don't think
Jesus.
I don't think I don't think we mean to be mean-spirited when it comes to these things, but it's past behavior has shown that these things don't work out well. So I think with Bebop, a lot of people were yeah, it could work, but these things usually don't for some reason. And then, but once we got some teaser images, once they started revealing promo images, and they were the first time we got to see the whole the
crew walking.
I don't know all the actors' names. I'm sorry, but
when
we got Spike and Jet and Faye walking down in a poster, it's oh, this is good. This is actually really good. This is
kind of doable. Yeah.
Yeah. People started warming up to it, and then we saw they posted the opening. They recreated the opening, and it's enjoyably campy. It's not. I don't love it, but I do appreciate it.
There's a trailer where they just play around with the panels and everything, and they're
I love that trailer.
And I was okay, this is going to be kind of a goofier take on the show, I'm guessing, because the original Cowboy Bebop was pretty goofy at times. There's an entire episode where they just get high on mushrooms. That's goofy as fuck.
Right, and I personally think it's okay that they didn't do that episode. Even though that could have been that could have been a small thing.
My general point, though, right?
Right. It is pretty goofy, because I love that trailer. I love how you mentioned it, because the panels he's grabbing it and throwing it back at him, and they're showing effort is what I like, because going back to the opening, the fact that half the opening is almost shot for shot what was happening in the animated opening of Spike running.
I do
Jet
think it was
running,
interesting that they included actual characters from episodes in the opening, right? As opposed to just the main squad.
It was as if they were kind of taking from anime as a whole.
Oh yeah, they'll hint villains later on or some shit.
Because when you watch an opening, you go, "Who's that guy?" Or we're going to see him. How is he a part of the story? And to us Bebop fans, seeing those characters, we kind of had to put the pieces together of, there's going to be an episode about Paralefu. There's going to be an episode about the environmentalist and stuff like that, which was great. I didn't expect them to go shot for shot with the actual opening, because in the actual opening, they show a lot of the spaceships in action kind of deal. Mm-hmm. But it was a good effort, and I will put a side note to this. It's probably one of the first times I've ever skipped the Bebop opening, watching the live action. But yeah, just want to toss that out there. So yeah, it's the costumes are great. One thing I do want to, since we're kind of talking about characters and costumes and the actors, if there's one thing that sticks out on the cast, the actor of Jet, Mufasa Shakir, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, dude, perfect Jet. He crushed it. In my opinion,
it was very good.
He's a very good Jet.
He sounds exactly like the English dub actor.
The repair bill for that cruiser you wrecked, and the one from that shop you trashed, and the medical bill from the cop you injured. Kill the dough!
I hope his price went up. Kimmy has a birthday coming up, and you wouldn't believe how much a kid's doll cost.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Be nice to be out of the red for once.
I know.
Like, so it really is impressive how well he fits the role.
Yeah. Like, I think that's one thing I'd love most. If I were to pick a favorite character at this very moment, Jet. Like, he had the mannerisms down, the kind of, he had a father arc or a father thing, like, inside the entire series. But that's kind of how he was painted as in the anime. He was kind of like the father figure. He's watching out for everyone, always taking the safe route out, always planning and doing things correctly, mainly because he came from an ex-cop background, which they got right as well. John Cho Is Spike. At first, I couldn't really take him seriously because Harold and Kumar, he's a comedian.
Oh yeah, he was
actor.
in that.
yeah. No, great movie. If you guys haven't seen that in the audience, classic. I couldn't take him too seriously, and there was a question about like his age because when I showed my fiance this, she's like, "Why does Spike look so old?" Because Spike kind of looks like mid to late 20s.
And John Cho's kind of on the older side, right?
Yeah,
I think he's like 50.
We're getting old, man.
You know what?
I think he's 50.
Looks incredible for his age.
You could argue in this adaptation that they wanted Spike to look aged because of like the shit that he's gone through, kind of thing.
Well, I also think that they did that because I think they also did that because they because it's like the people who grew up with Bebop, the original Bebop, are like 35 now, and so
thanks, yeah.
So I really think they want this Spike to be like in his 30s.
Okay, well that brings me to my next question, and like just to keep on track with like the Netflix show is like, who do you guys think the show was made for? Just based on watching it.
35-year-olds.
I actually think it was made for people who haven't seen the show.
I like to think so as well. Yes.
That would make the most sense because at this point, if you made like a shot-for-shot recreation of the anime, that would be a huge, colossal waste of time. Just go watch the anime, right? Like, why would you put in all of that money and resources just to make a copy of something that already exists? And that you're probably never going to like, recreate to the same degree.
So would you say like any live action, like look at the movies, right?
I mean, like,
is that a different scenario because you have to combine 26 episodes of content into an hour and 30 to 2 hour thing? Because if we were to play by that rule, then it's kind of like, damn, man, Lord of the Rings should have been like 8 hours a movie because the books are thick.
Maybe.
Right?
I mean, like, I feel like an adaptation of the book is almost kind of different. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say
like,
that.
To me,
I couldn't think of a comparison.
The show felt like it was just made for people who haven't seen the anime. And from what I've gathered, people who haven't seen the anime actually ended up liking the show a fair amount.
Right.
So I kind of wonder, and maybe that's just because we've seen it and we're like, we understand the show. So like we were kind of going in like expecting something else, maybe.
Right. I would have been pleasantly surprised if of this Netflix adaptation was detailed down to the T without their own spin on certain details of the actual anime story, if you know what I mean. Because they've obviously gotten factors inside the story of Bebop and stretched them out in order to cover all 50 minutes.
Oh, I guess we could talk about the runtime and how much that actually like sucks.
So we're talking 10 episodes, 50 minutes each, right?
I don't even mind 10 episodes. I think you could probably tell like a similar story in 10 episodes. Because like as much as we like Cowboy Bebop, like a lot of episodes aren't like plot relevant, obviously. It's very random.
Well, going back to the whole like who's this made for thing, it was made for the Netflix audience mostly, right? Because the Netflix audience, they want, well, I'm not going to say what they want, but you've noticed that a lot of these shows, it seems like the show is
very afraid to be completely episodic.
Right. I don't know of any episodic series in this genre.
Like, and I guess spoilers for the show is that like, so often, if there isn't like, if the main squad isn't doing something related to like a bounty
or the narrative,
something else,
like
there is a narrative with, well, there's an ongoing plot line with Julia and Vicious.
Oof.
And the thing is, to compare it to the anime doesn't actually spend a whole lot of time on Vicious and Julia. Julia especially doesn't get a whole lot of screen time in the show. Vicious has his stuff going on, and like, was it like episode either 1? No, there's Ballad of Fallen Angels, and then there's like Jupiter Jazz, and then there's like the end of the show.
Right. That's it.
And in Flixbop, I'm going to call it Flixbop because that's just easier.
That's a lot easier. Thank you.
Yeah. It's also just funny to say. So there's that. What was I going to say? Oh, Vicious is in like every single episode.
It's too much. It's
much. Like, okay, you take like the least interesting aspect of the show and you like give them like a whole arc, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, I really don't care. Like, give me the main squad just doing stuff, just vibing. Go have them like take shrooms or some shit. I don't know. That's fun at least. Give me some backstory. I mean, they do give us backstory for the main squad, but like, it seemed like they were just like, oh, we have to do this for an hour long because most Netflix shows are have hour long episodes or 50 minutes.
I mean, a weird term me and my brother used, like Bebop was like Netflixed out because it was, they're trying to follow a specific formula of here's the problem, here's what the problem is influencing, here's how our main characters are going to solve this problem, and every episode's going to be, as you'd expect, a step closer to solving this whole thing, which was Spike dealing with Vicious, pretty much is what I kind of get from this entire... If for some reason I didn't know what Bebop was and I watched this, I go, oh, bad guy Vicious, good guy Spike. Let's see what the resolution is at the end. When in reality, Bebop...
It's a very like simple, like, oh, here's good guy, here's bad guy. We're going to see them duke it out at some point.
Yeah.
Where it's like, Bebop is like, here's life in space in the future where everything is really depressing.
Yeah,
and here's all the things that happen there.
Yeah, and then like you can see it sometimes at the end cards too. Like they'll say the classic lines, "You're carrying that weight," and then there's one line that sticks out was like, "Oh, easy come, easy go." Like they get a bounty and they're like, that bounty's dead is dead, so yeah, you don't get paid." And it really is kind of just here's life in space, you know. And for me, that's therapeutic. Because it's kind of like, you know, the flavor of the day. Like, oh crap, the cast is going to try to get this one killer.
Actually, oh no, keep going. I'll finish after you're done.
I'd say my point is, I think a lot of people's attention spans with watching the live action would probably have fallen a bit. The fact that if it was episodic, because people would be asking the dumb questions of,
oh, what's going on? Gonna happen?
Yeah, what's going on? You know, who's that? And why are they chasing down this one guy? And that's it? Are we not going to refer back to that enemy ever again? What the heck? Now
why isn't this resolved? Why isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was going to bring it back to
this
another
entire
point.
episode had a big blue crab in the fridge. We're dedicating 50 minutes to this, and like that would be kind of excruciating if that was 50 minutes
like,
of but it's
I
still
almost
like,
wish that the Netflix series was like half hour, like
it
strong half hour long. Not even like 20 minutes, but like half hour. You could do
exactly because they stretch
and you could
out
write
parts
your
we
own
don't
stories.
care about.
That's the thing. Is like they didn't even have to necessarily do all of the same stories, because they change a couple things. Because like obviously Faye's backstory is a little bit different in Flixbop, right?
Yeah,
she actually has like a mother figure in this time around.
What
was I gonna say? Shoot. What was like the last line of your point?
I would say my point is that in terms of like the whole episodic versus let's stay on track with the story.
Yeah. No, I remember what I was going to
thing.
say.
Yeah.
Right. My biggest thing is that like too many things in that happen in the show are because of Vicious, because they needed Vicious to be in the plot, if that makes sense. So
that's true.
My favorite episode in the whole series is Pierre LaFaux. I love that it's like the most standalone episode out of probably the whole series, I think.
And it's so dark.
It's definitely the most out there. Like you're like, oh well, this is weird.
Dude, I remember how much chills I got when I saw the preview to that episode. just the dude laughing.
It's just the dude. Oh yeah, actually this time around, I actually paid attention to all like the next episode previews, and they're low-key really interesting. They're either really funny or they're like really sad.
Yeah, it's a great hook. Like,
which is like perfect for Bebop because it's either very funny or it's very like sad. But what I was going to say is that like
life.
In the Netflix in Flixbop, like Pierre LaFaux is somehow related, not by like family, but like Pierre LaFaux is sent to kill Spike by Vicious, which is like the dumbest shit ever. Like, why?
Because what stands out, and not to this is a poor comparison or not, but Pierre LaFaux, his very being, he's kind of like, you know, the Joker. He exists to kill.
I'm the Joker, baby.
Yeah, Shadow Joker, baby. Why so funny, Batman? Like, he's supposed to. That dude, that sociopath, he wakes up and gets released, and he just starts slaughtering everyone. No reason, no.
He just gets a kick out of it. That's it.
He gets a kick out of it because his mind is like a child, is what they kind of explained it in the anime. He just never really learned right from wrong, and you know, killing someone is the same as playing with a ball or a toy. You know, this is fun. He thinks it's normal, and Spike just happens to be in his crosshairs during this episode, and you know,
yeah, it was in the anime. It's like. Well, it just kind of happens. Like, so it's funny, in that same episode before he meets Pierre LaFaux, he's standing outside of a bar called C'est La Vie. And if you don't know what C'est La Vie means, it's French for life happens.
Yeah.
So it goes.
Yeah, so it goes.
Oh, that's a very good detail.
Which is the most, I noticed that on this rewatch, and I was like, oh, well, that's just Spike in a nutshell, actually. That's Spike's entire character. Right. Is that he just kind of walks into trouble, whether he wants to or not. And it just kind of happens. That's life to some extent. Like things happen.
Yeah, this next few hours or next few days are gonna really suck. And I would coin this as like, yeah, I think Spike pretty much was supposed to lose his life during that fight. You know, he was clearly outmatched and all that stuff.
Well, I think they even mentioned like, is this the time that I actually like I don't come back kind of thing, right? I think that's the episode where he says that. He jokingly says that, but like
I feel
you
like
know, on some level, like that's some. What's that?
I think that happens multiple times in the anime where like he really comes close to death, and it's like, oh shit, this
and even sometimes he'll joke like, oh, this is the time I won't come back, and he says it jokingly, but you can kind of tell like he kind of believes that on some level.
I mean, that's kind of his character. Like like usually when he talks, it's like, how serious is he?
But even in Pierre LaFaux, it's like it feels like, oh, this might actually be like a real threat to Spike at this point, like, because we're nearing the end of the show. It's like, okay, well, something's going to happen to these characters, right? And in Flixbop, it's like, oh, it's just Vicious. Why everything comes back to Vicious. A lot of these either these bounties or these enemies in these episodes come back to Vicious in some way, or like they're sent by Vicious or the Syndicate. And I'm like,
because in the end of that episode, and in that episode, Spike, you know, big spoiler, he successfully takes him down. But then there's that looming mindset of like, you're not really relieved. It's like, cool, we still have to deal with Vicious because he sent this madman towards Spike.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like JoJo Part 3, and that Dio just kept sending like enemies to the Joestar crew. And I'm like, this is getting old really quick.
Like you should just, you know, it's typical storytelling amongst all platforms, which is the big bad's going to send his goons, and the goons get taken down.
And that's the thing.
Why didn't you go like, yourself? Why didn't you take him down yourself if you're so confident?
I don't know if tropey is the right word, but it feels.
I know what you mean.
Like I've seen this before. I've seen this 100 times before.
Right, and that's
Bebop
what I mean by the formula.
Because it was just like it just did shit. Like it didn't give a fuck. It just did stuff. It was life. That was cool. That's fresh.
The Shrooms episode, we focus in on like Ein and Ed, which is like a fun relationship I love seeing. It's just a kid and the dog just living life, kind of traveling around. They run into these weird characters on the streets that maybe are related to everything, maybe are not related to what's going on. Like they always just run into trouble kind of deal in their own shape or form, which is what I loved about Bebop. But then, yeah, you're right. In Flixbop, I like this hot term. You're always in the shadows is always looming this like this Vicious and Julia,
which
and,
can be a cool idea. Is like, oh, you're never really alone. There's always someone, you know, kind of looking out.
The balance in the animated Bebop series is better because we see him.
It felt like
and
the randomness of life. Like it was a pool, like a bunch of like pool balls like hitting each other on a pool table kind of thing. Like it was a lot of chaos. In Netflix, it's like, oh, well, there's one person like kind of pulling the strings a lot of the time.
I always like to think of it as in the anime Bebop, like with Vicious kind of existing. I always like to think of it as like our own minds, where we know that's a problem, but we always like to like repress it and try to forget about it.
And it's easy to forget. I think that was the point. Is that often I think these people were doing bounties or just doing other things in their life simply to escape, like, you know, the shit that happened in the past.
Yeah, like you're burying it.
Literally, they are running away from it, like,
right.
Often.
Yeah.
Because Spike is a former member of the Syndicate.
Yes.
Which I believe Vicious runs now.
Yep.
And then
they were like best friends or whatever. I don't fucking know.
I like to think that they were partners, yeah.
And then Jet is a former cop.
Right.
So he still has like that sense of justice, but I'm going to say totally off topic, but I actually disagree when you say that they like totally nailed Jet's character.
Okay.
Because the thing
they changed it a lot in the
live action. He has an ex-wife and a daughter now.
Yeah, right. That was the thing with like the big like I guess Jet episode, which was like Waltz for Venus, I think. Where he doesn't have a family. He had someone that he really cared about, but she left him for whatever reason.
Yes.
And how about you? You must be married.
No, just wandering around with some weirdos. And on top of that, I'm a bounty hunter.
And the reason why I think that's like a particularly strange thing, because I don't mind that they're doing different things with the characters. That's fine. But the thing with Jet is that like in the first episode, and for the record, I've also only seen the first episode because I have better things to do, like playing video games instead of watching fucking shitty shows. So
that's fair. That makes you feel a lot better, man. Thank you.
So, but in that first episode alone, he just constantly brings up the fact that he has a daughter.
Kimmy has a birthday coming up, and you wouldn't believe how much a kid's doll cost.
My daughter's turning 8.
And I can't afford to buy her a present because of you.
Right when I need the dough to buy my daughter a birthday present? Jet. You don't want my daughter to have a birthday?
Hey, fuck you.
He's like literally every sentence he says, it's like, I have an 8-year-old daughter. Okay. I gotta buy a birthday present.
So here's the crazy part.
I need to buy that doll. I need to buy this doll.
Okay, so this show is like kind of beats you over the head with like things that are going to be reincorporated later. One of those things is Jet's daughter. She is incorporated later on in the series.
Like no
in like the climax, because she's like used as like a damsel in distress, like in the climax.
And a hostage situation.
Yeah, that's literally what happens, and it's just like, what the fuck, right? It was like so. Like I knew because they kept mentioning like Jet's daughter that like okay, she's going to be used or incorporated some way somehow later on in the show
because they're pretty much
the show is not subtle about anything.
Well, yeah, I think
I want to go back, and I want to say, Jet. The reason why I dislike this change for Jet is not specifically because they beat you over the head with it, but also I just feel like it doesn't make sense for the character because he's now working this job that is extremely volatile. Like it doesn't have a guaranteed payout. It's extremely risky, and I just feel like if he's so concerned about taking care of his daughter, why would
just
he
go get a
be
9 to
doing
5
bounty hunting? Yeah, exactly. Or why even like? I mean, I understand that that he has problems with the way the ISSP is run and things like that. So I get why he would leave, but at the same time, it's like, what's more important, your moral code or your family? And I mean, that's maybe not a good way of putting it.
To play somewhat of a devil's advocate, I do think the point here is that like this is the future, and they touch upon this in like the animes that like. Finding like stable this is implied in the show, but like finding stable income in the future in like 2071 in a world that in a galaxy that's just like so I wouldn't say destroyed, but like it reminds me a lot of like climate change. Like this is very like far into like climate change where it's like kind of irreversible and like we're just kind of dealing with the fallout of it to the point where it's like I don't know if Jet could find a good job at this point. I think that was almost the point to some extent is that he is doing like the bounty hunting because there's no other option kind of thing.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like if he can fly a big spaceship, if he can cook, if he's physically fit enough to fight people, I feel like he can do. I feel like
you could say this about you could maybe say this about a lot of people who do gimmick work. I mean, like kind of more gimmick jobs, contract jobs, like say like Uber or like DoorDash or something kind of like that, where it could be like either like, you know, some extra cash you make on the side, or that could be like a full-time job for some people. And
right.
You could argue like with any like low paying, you know, not stable job is that like, yeah, you could maybe get something, you could probably do something better, but people don't always have that option kind of thing.
I don't know. I suppose.
I'm not saying the show communicates this well, but I was thinking about that while I was watching.
It doesn't, because we're pretty much introduced to a job that apparently pays out well, because they talk about so many numbers of like, 2.5 million, 3 million. And it's
it's funny because like,
who wouldn't love that money?
When they talk about it, it's like, you don't really make even in the anime, they don't make a whole lot. Not because they don't get bounties, but because like everything's so fucking expensive in that world.
Right. And like the upkeep of everything.
Yeah, that's another thing is like taxes, upkeep, all that shit. Like really like goes deep into your wallet.
Passing through the gates and then also paying fees.
And also accidents happen. So like in the way the live action is introduced is that they're doing this, they're getting someone in the casino, but then like, I think it was some guy who pulls out a Ghostbusters gun and then just like blasts a hole in the casino and just destroys the entire thing. Oh my god,
that was weird. Okay, another thing I noticed is that like they have the casino that's obviously the same casino from they have the anime.
The like, Watanabe Casino.
Right. And it's like, they don't have, what I thought was interesting is they don't even incorporate like Faye working at the casino, because in the anime, she works at the the because she's in a huge debt.
Well, I don't think it's supposed to be the same casino, just
it reminded me of the casino in the anime.
Sure. I mean, I get what you're saying, at least. It's like, if you're going to have a casino, then sure, Faye might as well have been working there.
Well, like Faye, going off of that, the way Faye was introduced was so...
Wait, can I talk one more? If we're going to move from Jet to Faye, I want to talk about one thing that I liked about the Flixbop. Going back to his daughter, there was a scene where he's holographically inserted into her dance recital, and he's just sitting there watching it, and then Spike is on the outside just getting his ass beat, dude. That scene was actually I think it was my favorite scene in the whole show.
Honestly, I was genuinely laughing at that as well. Just because, like, you see him, like, kind of, like, dancing and off.
Dude, he's, like, having a great time, and then Spike is just absolutely getting crushed.
Right, yeah, because it's a pretty heartwarming moment. It's like, hey, I get to see my daughter at this play.
Like, what price kind of thing? I'm letting my friend's ass is getting beat.
In the background, it's like, Spike was handling it.
He's kind of handling it, but, like, he can't handle it forever, kind of
right, because you can clearly tell, like, he's struggling. And that's the thing, too, about Spike is, as much as we like to paint Spike as this really strong kung fu guy who's accurate with every shot he makes, and he's a former, like, quote unquote hitman from the syndicate, he is just one guy, right?
He's just a dude.
And so there was a scene in there. Remember that one shot scene where he went into the dude's like that little place where all those guys were shooting each other and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Like it was the gang, and he took them all down by himself, like John Wick, right?
Yeah,
and that was cool, and that was really cool how he did that. But in reality, so I feel like the luck is always against him, and like he could have died right there. He's not immortal.
That's kind of life. Is like often you are not the lucky person. You are not the main character of the series. That was kind of the cool part about the anime is that like. Yeah, I mean, they do survive, but at, like, barely. Super barely. Like, barely. They don't win.
It's almost as if they're worse off than when they started.
Yeah. Like, a metaphor for life is or I guess a metaphor for that, like, world post-capitalism, post-global warming is that, like, you're better, you're almost worse off now. Like, you're alive, but, like, at what cost, kind of thing.
Oh, God. Yeah, at what cost? Speaking of costs, let's move to Faye Valentine, right?
Yeah.
So... My thing with her is that she's supposed to be known as someone who's accumulated massive amounts of debt even before she was unfrozen and stuff like that, because she was conned so many times. So when you do bring up, because thanks for reminding me that, yeah, Faye did work in a casino, and she was just pretty much working a 9 to 5 to pay off her debts. And, you know, even if she worked that forever, I don't think she would have been close.
Casino because she had debts to the casino, right?
I do not know.
Which would make sense because she always went to like the horse races or the dog races. Like she gambled her money all the time. Even if she didn't have that much money, she was just gambling it.
Right. But she was also kind of like doing everything she can to kind of make extra money because she was kind of using the casino setting to also, you know.
Find the bounty at the same time. Yeah, she's quite
she was basically she was side hustling constantly.
Even while being in debt all the time, yeah.
Yeah, and
the grind never stops.
Yeah, she was literally rise and grind every day because she'd be on the tail.
Unfortunately, in that universe, you have to be rise and grind. This is a post rise and grind.
You're always rising when the sun's moving in different directions and you're floating.
You're always rising, but you're never grinding enough.
Stupid. No, it's because in Flixbop, it's Faye runs into these situations and puts herself, because the reason why she puts herself in dangerous situations in the anime is because she's on the heel of a pretty big bounty. She'll either be chasing after them, gathering information, or going as far as joining a cult to get to that bounty guy. So because remember Brain Scratch, which she ended up on TV being as someone who was like, hey, I'm going to join this cult that's full of people who don't believe in stuff, right? But deep in her mind, she's like, no, I'm going to turn foot and try to get this dude, right? And so in here, in Flixbop, she's just someone who just constantly berates and gets into danger for no reason at all.
She's a girl boss.
Yeah.
Gatekeeps and girl bosses.
Yeah, like there are just situations where she just rolls her eyes like, fine, I'll help kind of deal.
Guess I'll help you guys. Bacchus. I'm like, okay, cool, Faye.
Yeah, and from the very beginning, her main thing isn't debt at all. She's just focusing on finding her identity, which doesn't become a problem in the anime until later on.
Like
it's in
way later on. I think it's like 15 or 16 or something. Like,
yeah,
we're like 2/3 of the way into the show. Like, actually, we get some Faye backstory
because she confesses it, saying like, "Hey, like I'm actually this isn't my name." And it's kind of, well, we figured as much because you're a con artist. But she's like, I think like I got information on like me trying to find my past, which is kind of fascinating because we get that from each character. You know, Spike, we get the blips in the memory of Vicious. Jet, he's on track to find Odai Taxton, who's like a guy who, the one criminal that got away, and then the cops were dirty around him, and so that's what kind of forced him to leave the force. So we get that with each character, so that you turn to Faye, and that kind of piques your interest. Which again, it's the same thing as like Spike's past. Our interest is piqued because we keep. No, we don't get it every episode.
Breadcrumbs. You don't get it all at once, kind of thing.
Right, but going back to your thing with Netflix having everything go back to Vicious, Faye's thing constantly is my identity. I was unfrozen, just gosh darn con artist. And that lady con artist episode with that Karen looking woman who's like that felt so out of place, right? It was her mother, quote unquote, her mother that unfroze her and stuff like that.
It's not her biological mother, but it's more or less her maternal figure, yeah.
Right. And it just felt so out of place to have that going on as like, oh hey, we're gonna solve Faye's problems now. And technically,
well, that's the thing is like the show did that all the time. Is like, okay, well here's like Jupiter Jazz, and then we're gonna have like a bunch of episodes about God knows what. And it's cool. Like that's fine.
But in this case, since we're already fist deep into Vicious is the bad guy, but wait a minute, Faye's dealing with some sort of drug lord who's trying to kill her mother. Let's focus on this like for a good like 45 minutes.
I actually like that more than just getting vicious. I was like, the less vicious, the better, I think.
Well, that was, I wouldn't say it's a breath of fresh air, but it's like a breath of like musty air where it's like, okay, I'll take this than looking at Vicious.
I like when shows meander, so like obviously I like Cowboy Bebop, right?
Right. I kind of like it, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like. Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's cool. It's pretty good show.
It's all right, I guess.
It's got vibes, yeah.
Yeah, it's got vibes. I guess I don't feel as strongly about it. Like, I guess more my problem is that like to go back to the brain scratch thing. How they do it in Flixbop is like again, related to Vicious and Julia. And I'm like, okay. And that kind of makes sense because, like, you know, Spikes really hasn't let go of his past, obviously, which is Julia. It's like, wait, I forget, in the anime, does Spike know that Julia's alive, like, early on, or does he just, like, assume that she's dead or something?
I think he feels like that she's still alive.
Just somewhere else, okay.
But he doesn't really have, like, a way or reason to get to her because of his circumstances.
Right, okay.
So it's kind of like unconfirmed. If she's dead, she's dead. If she's alive, I'd be surprised if we cross paths one day, but that she's behind me now, or so he thinks, is how I read it.
But she's not behind. Or he's not, whatever, I don't remember what I was going to say. I didn't care for those, like, I guess what I liked about Brain Scratch is that it was completely, like, that was a very isolated episode. And that it's like, oh, this feels like an episode of, like, Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex or something. In the anime, at least.
Okay.
Or just Ghost in the Shell, the movie. Like, it's very much about, like, thought, existence, existentialism, all that stuff. I guess I was, like, annoyed that it was like, okay, this is going to be about Vicious and fucking Julia again. I didn't care.
And then you have Julia,
like, it feels like they were trying to write Julia and Vicious into things that never really needed them.
Well, the thing that grinds my gears is, like, the portrayal of Julia, just from the very beginning of all this. It's so out of whack. Not because, like, I'm seeing her so much on the screen, but Julia had this whole transformation of, first of all, she was just, damsel in distress in this abusive relationship, and
that makes sense if you're in an abusive relationship to not do much because, like, you feel powerless. That makes sense, I think, to some extent.
I mean, I guess it stems off from the fact that we're always seeing Vicious and Julia together. Because, like,
Vicious is pretty, he's pretty intense.
He's pretty vicious, I guess.
Yeah, I was thinking about saying Vicious, but I had, like, a pregnant pause, and I just, like, I chose not to say it.
Don't worry, that's
I appreciate that you did that. Yes,
I'm here to say the jokes that everyone else is too afraid of.
I'm always afraid because I don't have any jokes because this is serious. No, the thing is
I guess I wouldn't mind Julia and Vicious being in the show if, like, they were just more interesting, if that makes sense, and not written as, like, we need to, like, take up, like, 20 minutes of this episode.
Well, the way Vicious is portrayed is the most bland way to have a villain. This guy, he wants power. He wants approval from his father.
He's mean, and he's willing to do anything it takes.
Yeah, and he's gonna kill and actually go against moral code against his own syndicate.
He's fucking crazy.
Right. He's crazy. He's a madman. He's willing to do anything to get what he wants. And, like, we've seen this in better writing in other forms of media.
The thing with, like, this is the biggest problem with the show is that it's so, like, it's full of things. Like, it's interesting that, like, Cowboy Bebop is full of influences in, like, the best way possible. It kind of celebrates its influences.
Yeah.
Like, like westerns and sci-fi and occasionally, like, musical influences. That's cool. It's awesome. That's what makes Cowboy Bebop fun. It's like Flixbop is influenced by, like, bad writing tropes. And it's like, I do not want to celebrate that. That is not fun.
What it reminds me of? The live action Bebop. It reminds me of this thing from I was talking about Red Letter Media earlier. One of the Plinkett reviews for Star Trek 09, he describes it as being electrified them, where just, like, everything is intense and, like, there's always, like, characters screaming and running and doing things, and it's like that's kind of what I get.
It's for people who think yelling equals good acting.
Yeah. But it's kind of like, I kind of get that impression with this live action show where it's like we need to just have everything be more intense. Like, we're a live action show now, and we're on Netflix, so we can say fuck, and we can have blood and gore, and we have to establish that every character in the show is actively fucking.
Oh, I have to.
Shout out to Faye fucking. I'll say that much. Shout out to
right. Well, I have to piggyback off that because you're right. They're trying to be they're kind of showing a front kind of like those really short people who don't know how to fight but think they're tough. They're kind of like, hey guys, we're a gritty show like Breaking Bad and The Wire. Yeah, we'll do this one part that's gonna get everyone to tense up in this situation, and it's done in such a dry, comical way that I can't take it seriously. Example: there's this one part which, I'm pretty sure if this was done better in another movie about gangsterism and drugs and trafficking, stuff like that, it would have been pretty cool. But, Vicious is in trouble. He needs to shut down his drug ring, which was he was dealing red eye on the side, and Syndicate didn't want him doing his own
Shout
deals.
out to the red eye episode featuring the line about cupcakes. That's all I wanted to mention is the cupcakes line.
Cupcakes.
What the fuck was the deal with the cupcakes? What the fuck?
I don't understand. How did that how did that beat the cutting room floor? Like they're like, yeah, the cupcakes line. We'll keep that in.
I'm glad you brought that up because again, I only saw this one episode, and it's just literally just out of nowhere. This guy's like, we have cupcakes.
If it is what you say it is, then we make a deal. Then we have cupcakes.
Cupcakes?
Yeah. Who don't like cupcakes? Show me.
Cupcakes.
The guy playing Asimov is like looking at him like, "What the fuck do you?"
Even Asimov, or the actor is just actually confused. I don't think his actor knew that line was in the script.
Was that improv? What the fuck was that?
I mean, I feel like it's because they're just like, oh, but the original was a comedy. It was a comedy, so we got to have comedy lines.
But here's the thing with the comedy is that it knew when to be funny. It's not going to be funny during a fucking drug trade.
Again, they're doing so many tense situations and throwing in so many weird lines of quips. Like when the Asimov, when he's doing the deal, you have his girlfriend going to the table and she's getting a drink from the bartender, and the bartender's like, "Oh, you're gonna need some vodka." And it's just like,
I didn't mind that too much. I mean,
is that a reference to the original moment in that episode?
The original moment.
Did she not drink vodka in the anime?
No, she just sat there and she was just like,
oh yeah, that's right. She just sat there with her boobs
bartender
on the table.
The bartender in the anime was the one who was receiving the drugs,
right?
And so they say their lines. They're like, "You got Bloody Mary," and it's like,
"Oh yeah, that's code for red eye." Okay,
yeah. And so then they go in the back and she just sits there. And then they do a little bit of fan service, but moments like that where it's like, oh, dude, it's a drug deal going on, guys. Let's look at this tense situation. Cupcakes, vodka. Ooh, yeah, check us out. And it's like, you ruined it. And that's what they do too much.
So crazy and wacky. My god.
Yeah. So it's like when they do hard comedy, it's like it's not in a good spot. Like they just dropped out of nowhere. But going back to it. So this one point where it was kind of like, hey, let's be a really dark, gritty series and show how vicious is. So he's going in the back with his goons to shut down his drug ring. And he's like, okay, everything needs to go. Okay. And they're like, what do you want to do with the, quote unquote slaves, right? The people who are producing the drugs. And then obviously he jokingly says put them in a nice hotel, watch over them, make sure they get 5-star treatment. And he's like, are you serious? He's like, no. And then and then when you look at this conversation, you look at his druggies, or you look at the people manufacturing the drugs, and they're all naked, which is not weird because that's actually a real method.
That happens often, yeah.
Yeah, so they don't steal anything.
Breaking Bad taught me that.
No, American Gangster taught me that. Shout out to Denzel Washington. But yeah, they're all naked, which is cool. But you see it, their eyes are stapled shut or sewn shut. Right? Which gives you the impression of oh, hey, they're not supposed to see what's going on because everything's supposed to be tight-lipped, confidential.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that scene, you see that you're supposed to get kind of I would assume a gut weird feeling if you saw that in, let's say, an actual gangsterism movie like Casino, American Gangster, or anything of the like, right? But in this setting, in a live action series that's got so many joking quips where he just dropped a weird joke of putting these slaves in a hotel, and then they end up gunning them down like an actual Al Capone movie, like Valentine's Day Massacre. They just unload on these people who are blinded and just kill all of them, and then they do the zoom out shot of the entire lab. Everyone's bloodied and just dropping dead. That scene right there was so... it was their effort of trying to be like, wow, like this is a dark series when you take this seriously. This guy's
this
a
is the
monster.
elfin lead of Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, and this is horrible, man. Like this guy's got to be taken seriously, and I can't take this live action seriously because they're trying too hard in points in the series that, in my opinion, don't matter. If that makes sense. So
yeah, I
back
wonder
to
if
the
like they
quips,
thought
the
like,
comedy.
the audience is gonna find this cool. Like,
yeah, like whoa,
ooh.
dude, like that's how they do their operations. Oh man, like this syndicate's no joke. When in reality, you know these guys are no joke because they're able to track you down and kill you within a day. But they're still trying to put the front that these guys are an organization that's a force to be reckoned with, and no bounty hunter wants to mess with us, which we get it. And it just cupcakes. It just like not really hurts.
Cupcakes.
I
love that we just
it.
had this whole conversation based on a cupcake.
Cupcakes. Like I could go on more tangents. Like there's so many more things that stick out where I'm just like, why?
The cupcake line with everything else on my list is just like, I would describe it as, why was this choice made? Like, what was the motivation behind this choice? Because like
behind the cupcake line.
Yeah, well, not just the cupcake line, but like most changes in the show is like, the way I would describe the show is like, quote unquote, choices were made. And like, that's not really meant to be said in like a positive connotation or like a declarative. It's
bad
like
choices were made.
Bad, in parentheses, bad choices were made.
That's the thing that's funny is like when you guys talk about the writers.
I would not even say bad, but just like baffling choices were made often.
Yeah, well,
there's one choice towards the end of the show that we'll talk about that is very, very baffling. But
we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah,
and like the cupcake line. That's like someone in the writers' room typed that out.
That's pretty low tier, but like still like you know symbolic of like the problems with the show is like okay, well that doesn't really work with like what the show is. It just like feels like I'm watching a Netflix show. Or
so to go off into weird lines. Remember the moment where Jet is talking to his interest in terms of like trying to get information, that one lady, right?
Oh yeah, and she does the blackmail line.
Oh yeah, it's like this. That sounds like blackmail. Well, Jet, you are black and male. And
it's weird because like the anime never did, and I don't want to say like, oh, it's not like the anime. It's like the anime never went there. Like it never had that type of comedy ever.
Oh yeah,
as far as I understand, it's like, oh, well, like. They're never like, oh, it's because you're black and you're male. Ho, ho, ho.
Like, dude, and that's a solid comedy right there.
Yeah,
like,
dude, put that in your Tide 5 for sure, dude.
I remember, like obviously, like the day this came out, people were like posting screen caps of that, and it's like, okay, that's pretty stupid. But then I hear it, like I see
and then they,
someone
like,
post a clip on the
like,
scene,
I thought it was a
and
meme
it's like,
line.
oh my
like,
god, it's like, oh my god, it's actually like way
there's
worse.
So
like,
many like there's a lot of lines in the show that you just think like there was no QA on this. There was no like QC or like quality checking on like any like a lot of these lines.
Sounds to me like blackmail.
You're damn right it is, because Jet, you are black and you are male.
And you're like, did they watch the show? Like, it almost kind of feels like they like kind of like read the wiki articles on like episode descriptions.
All right. It's like,
and
then,
this
like,
lady
made
is
the
creepy
episodes
based on that.
Right, like this lady's supposed to be very creepy. Like, okay, how creepy can we make her? And it's just like, well, let's make her make cringy jokes.
Her racist, yeah.
No, it's yeah. So there's a lot of that sprinkled into the entire series, which is again, they try to sell this live action as something that's dark, gritty, and yet you have jokes and quips and stuff like that.
Is, like, often a lot of these jokes aren't done in like the in character, if that makes sense.
Well,
if like if there's like quippy dialogue between like the main trio, because obviously Ed's not in the show until the very end.
Ooh,
Ed's mentioned one time.
Yeah, Ed is
Ed is mentioned one time in the Brain Scratch episode. Ed is a known person in that show's universe, but not introduced until the very last scene.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if they were like hesitant to introduce Ed because they didn't do any marketing for Ed.
Yeah,
and everyone was like, "Oh, where's Ed? What happened to Ed? Is Ed going to be in the show?" And
then you actually see the scene of her,
and you're just like, "Wow, this is a nostalgia critic like video."
Bye. tight, Svigo!
No.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's like, oh, that's why.
That's why. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I almost feel like there was like damned if you do, damned if you don't for like marketing that N-word.
That's the thing. It's like, that's why I never trust any marketing at all. Like, especially
marketing
leading up
for movies notoriously sucks. I'll just say that much.
Well, leading up to the release of the Bebop live action, when they were marketing all these trailers and posting things like, "Hey, you guys keep asking, where's Radical Edward? Just stay tuned for November 19th, which is the day Bebop live action was releasing." You gotta
consume our product to find out,
right? And it's just whenever there's too much. And this is my general rule of thumb for anything live action, so a bit off topic, but whenever something's over marketed, I automatically think you're hiding something. You're trying to get as many people to watch this as possible to get your numbers up or get your box office up.
Well,
and,
obviously.
Obviously, but it's like,
it's very transparent marketing, but it works to some extent, obviously.
It doesn't work on me because the more you talk about it, the more
like in
I'm
general,
like,
it works on a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's just like, I'm so skeptical because you guys keep talking about it, and you keep saying things like, oh, this one actor said this, or this one, Steve Bloom is putting a thumbs up saying that this is a great series and stuff like that. So we're just letting you guys know this is awesome. You're going to miss out if you don't watch this. And me, I'm just like, no. I guess it's rare for it to happen, but I just like it when some series or an anime or something is just kind of more low key where there's no marketing, and then it just crushes it when it gets released, where people start talking about it. For me, it's almost like a salesperson mentality I used to have, but I am more trustworthy of the people to my left and right, my friends, in terms of recommendations and what they want me to watch than some sort of company or billboard or advertisement. I know that's a given, but it's like, in this case, it's double for Bebop. They just kept on, oh, hey, look at this trailer that's crazily animated. You're gonna see Ed. Oh, wow, look at this poster and look how John Cho looks at Spike, all these awards. Check it out. And I'm just like, this is gonna be a bad watch, huh? And so
there's an anime going on right now called King's Ranking, where it came out and like no one was talking about it at first, even though it's by Studio Wit. And I feel like Studio Wit just has an amazing track
that's almost a
record over the
household
last
name
few years.
At this point. Like, that's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
I've heard of them.
But no one was talking about this show whatsoever. And on the podcast, we're just like, Jesus, like, this is so underrated. It's now like top 20 on my anime list.
It's like almost a 9 on Mal, right? Like,
yeah, it's like 8.9 right now.
It's underwatched is what you mean.
Yeah, but yeah. I'm talking about like what Bacon was saying, where it's like there was just no marketing for this show, and now it's just getting spread around by word of mouth. Odd Taxi is another one, actually. Odd Taxi was just kind of this weird show that no one really knew anything about. It was an original series, and then the whole thing came out over its runtime, and it's an amazing show, and everybody should watch it.
I should. Every time I see cuts from like Sakuga Blog or like Saga Boru, it's like the coolest shit ever. I'm like, fuck, this looks so good.
Did I cut out at some point?
No.
Oh,
I heard it.
Okay, sorry.
I was looking at cats actually, and then I was fuck, I got a response.
Sorry, I think Bacon had to mute.
Oh, come on, Bacon!
I was muted. I was muted because you guys haven't noticed. My dad was talking really loud in the other room. I actually told him to go to another room. Sorry about that.
Nice.
Dad, I'm talking about Cowboy Bebop.
This is important.
I'm talking about Japanese anime.
How often do I get to really be on a pod episode and talk about something I'm passionate about? Not often. I'm a busy man, as I told Becker.
Okay, you're a working man.
I'm a working man. I don't eat rice. I don't eat rice.
Well, talking about like excess and things like that, it kind of goes back to what it was almost like a throwaway comment I made earlier, where it's like every single character has to be established that they're fucking in this show. And so going back to that first episode, it's like Azimuth and Katarina, they walk into a bar and just immediately Azimuth gives her like this really deep kiss, and I'm like, sir, this is a Johnny's Tavern. Can you please behave yourself? It's like, it's just so much. Like every single character, like we have to establish, like Hollywood cannot fathom the idea that someone in the audience might think a character is a virgin. So we just have to make sure every single character fucks. Even Vicious. Right. We have to know that Vicious fucks for some reason.
Okay, I mean, so it's funny that you mention that because attention. There is there's an implied sex scene between Faye and
a working
spaceship mechanic lady.
Yeah. And she got Faye to finish, which is a big deal. And I'm just like, okay.
I've never heard of the joke where women don't finish. I've never heard that one before.
Again, it's like a joke that we've all heard before.
It's like, again, the celebration of like, we've all seen this before. Like, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, wow. Like 2 women doing it. And look, they're in the bed naked.
I mean, that's kind of, I don't know if it's cliche, but we've seen that a lot. But
we've seen that a lot.
But like women complaining about like men not being able to make women come is like, that's like the oldest joke in the book, I think, at this point.
Right. And it's nothing. All this is nothing new.
None of this is new. That's the crazy part. Even the idea of like an adaptation of like an anime is nothing new. But like the way that they go about it is just so basic. I don't know. Did I cut out?
No.
Okay, cool. What I guess, what was your point again? Oh, about characters fucking, yeah, for sure.
It was just
weird shit.
Commenting more about extra stuff.
Oh, you mean the exploits?
Yeah. It's a very excessive series, kind of like I was saying, where there's a lot of swearing, there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of gore.
There's a lot of Dutch angle shots. I don't know if do you guys
oh my god.
Okay, I've complained about this to Bacon, and I don't think Bacon like understands what my point is necessarily.
Well,
do you know what Dutch angle shots like mean usually, right? Like something is off, something is off kilter. So
right. They do it too much because they don't understand the impact of it.
Well, it's like it's like it's used excessively for like comedic scenes, and I'm like, is this supposed to be like off-putting? I'm confused. What are you doing?
It's bad.
Just center the
purpose.
Camera for once. It's not.
It's artistic brilliance.
It was like center the camera one time. I assure you, nothing is going to change. Like nothing is going to like explode, or no one's going to die. Or
that's one thing. One of my buddies who's watching it as well. He stopped at like episode 3, and he was like, "Man, whoever did the shot composition for this series is probably done by a 9-year-old." And I was thinking, you wouldn't be off.
I mean,
I have an idea. I have a perfect idea for making a show.
Stop.
We do everything handheld. Everything is like done by shaky cam, except as the cameraman is filming, I just run over and punch his lights out so he falls over.
No.
And that's how they film it.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't understand. Like if everyone, the cast, the staff, and everything else really understood what like Bebop was really about, then I get that their audience was supposed to be the audience of, I've never heard of Cowboy Bebop. Wow, this whole space thing. That's
this could be cool. I want to check it out.
But don't get me wrong. So here's the thing. If this
I love Star Wars.
Well, because the Cowboy Bebop anime is the Cowboy Bebop anime is on Netflix, and so right when this release
are they going to be recommended anime like alongside with the live act?
Well, you can clearly see it now, or at least I know Netflix has got.
I don't go on Netflix. What am I, a normie?
Well, you have to understand like the whole. I'm appreciative of this live action if it gets more of the younger generation anime fans to watch Bebop.
Well, that's what I was going with. Like, if this is made for people who haven't seen Cowboy Bebop, because like if it is shown alongside, like, not shown alongside, but like if it's marketed alongside the anime, then yeah, it could get people to watch it or check out the anime if they're like really into the live action.
I feel like it would be made for people who haven't seen Bebop. But at the same time, who are the people who haven't seen Bebop?
Because Bebop is younger anime fans, because they're like, it's too boring.
Very younger, yeah. To go back to, I guess, I don't know if it was Moe's or if it was Bacon that said people like 35, right, that have seen the show.
Yeah, that's
people
right.
on the older side.
Only 35-year-olds have seen it.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I am 35.
It's funny because Panic has been watching it for the first time recently, so I'm like, fake 30 something over here.
Panic, Mr. I saw Ava when it was airing.
Oh, look at this dude.
I don't actually know.
You know, it's funny because like that show premiered after the day I was born, so like that makes him like super duper old.
I don't think he's actually. I don't think he's actually that old.
I'm gonna give him shit for it though.
But I was gonna say, like I asked that question because Bebop, I feel like is it's like the anime that people who don't watch anime have seen. You know, it's like I don't know how about you, but I've met so many people who are like, oh, anime, I don't fuck with that. Oh, but I've seen Cowboy Bebop though.
Like the bee-boobs. Yeah,
I like the boo-boobs.
Shut up.
Dude, do you remember that Demolition D video where he plays like the anime?
Yeah, that
he's like, I
came
like
into my
the
head.
boobs.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
I like the cupcakes.
Stop. Oh my god. I haven't heard that name in years in Hell's
That
Secret.
quote lives in my brain rent-free for years now.
Stop. No, I would agree with that though, because Bebop does stand as kind of being like the bridge between like the normies and the weebs kind of thing. Because I do know a lot of people who weren't anime fans and they're like, oh yeah, I've seen an episode of that. It's actually pretty cool. And like it gets like a pass because it's not.
At the very least, they've heard of it. Like,
yeah, because it's
that
probably
they know what Adult Swim is usually because they've probably seen Rick and Morty on it. That's why.
Yeah,
there's that, but then again, I've also in the years like before, I'd probably say like at the top of my weebness, right, when I was still all about Bebop back then, there were younger anime fans. Not you don't see me talking to them face to face, but I would like read on those forums.
You don't see me talking to them.
Yeah, you don't see me talking to them. I was sitting in my room looking at kids.
Imagine talking.
What?
No.
I know what you're doing, Bacon, but like no one's gonna get that context.
No one's gonna get that context. I don't care.
I didn't get that context.
Oh boy, Joe Budden. So the thing is that a lot of like younger generation anime fans are watching series that usually punch you with so much action right off the bat. You got Attack on Titan, you got My Hero, you have like series that are 12 or 24 episodes that the rule of thumb of hooking someone within the first episode is bigger than ever now. I've seen some people say, oh, I've seen the first 3 episodes of Bebop, it's boring. And
then you just tell them that they're boring.
Well, I look at the first episode, I'm like, well, how is this boring? First of all, you have
it's
great setting. You have a fight
grab
scene.
them by the spine and then drive them through the wall, thus boring them through the wall.
I would love to do that, but no. And then like I get tried as a murder. You know what I mean? But it's like in the first episode, you get like not car chase. You get like a flying ship scene. You get a fight scene. You have drugs, people getting bodied, and then people just getting obliterated in space, and like this really like dark story that was kind of like put together with these characters. And it's just like, how is this boring? But people want to see something that's a little more bombastic than that. They want to see characters you think that are main characters dying. You want to see something that's like so profound and insane that it hooks you, then like you have to watch the next episode, which in reality, Bebop, even though they have those episode hooks at the end, or like the kind of like, oh, hey, let's preview the next episode, the series doesn't necessarily hook you and get addicting, but it's still good. Bebop in itself isn't like an addicting series that you have to binge, in my opinion. It's more of kind of like, I like to think of it as like a really fancy snack. Like you take a bite and like, oh yeah, this is good. I can get with this, maybe one more, save the rest for later kind of thing, which is the power of it being episodic. If there's a narrative of like, oh man, they're still hot on this bounty, this can take, 5 episodes, this is the Bloody Mary arc kind of deal, then yeah, maybe some people get hooked on it more, but Bebop doesn't work like that.
Bebop's not about the action. It's about the context with the action.
Yeah, and the music.
And I feel like this show misses like the fun or the coolness or like the life factor a lot of the time.
Yeah. The music, when I heard, I know they got the okay to start using the original soundtrack in the
Okay, does anyone else feel like this, like the entire soundtrack was like re-recorded? Because it sounds a little bit different.
It sounds a little bit different. There were moments where they played some famous riffs.
There were some moments where you hear like really famous songs, and you're like, the second I heard Spaceline, I was just like, okay, cool. I don't care. I genuinely don't care.
Well, because of the visuals of what you're watching and how you generally
it didn't
watching
earn the heat, if that
exactly,
makes
exactly.
Any sense.
Well, dude, fast forwarding, I know that's like towards the end, but when I finally heard Rain, I was just like, this is a great song. I love this to death, but like, I don't feel anything.
I guess
don't
we haven't
feel
talked about this, but the order of episodes that they do in the show is weird. Like, that was an interesting choice to make, is to end the series. I guess we'll just get to the big prop, like
the big spoiler.
I think maybe our
Maz,
biggest
we're
issue.
Sorry, spoiler.
Yes, spoiler. As if anyone's gonna watch this show. Honestly, you're better off watching. Shit, there's better Netflix shows on Netflix.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
to say there's Netflix shows on.
Have you guys heard of Squid Game? My gosh,
Squid Game is okay. I was going to recommend other things. Sex Education is really good. It's all I'm going to say.
You ever heard of this show called The Sopranos?
Okay, that's on HBO Max, dipshit. God damn it.
Maz, you ruined it. There goes our sponsor.
I can say that The Sopranos is also on Hulu. So there's that. And
there
Amazon
goes our
Prime.
sponsor. Damn it. We just lost all of our money.
Let me, what was I going to say?
Heading towards the end.
Oh, I was heading towards the big meme. If you
it's the end of the podcast. Okay, good night, everybody.
No.
So, like, the show ends with Battle of the Fallen Angels, which is fascinating. It only makes sense if you have, like, Julia and Vicious in every single episode. I feel like that makes the most sense if you were to do it like that. So I was like wondering, like, okay, what's this whole like Julia and like Vicious thing gonna like amount to at the end? And then actually before Battle of the Fallen Angels, you get an entire backstory episode. It's nothing but backstory of Julia, Spike, and Vicious. And it's like everything you could expect it to be, which is not great.
Yeah, how they met, how they fought together, how this one woman came into their lives, and wow. Go on.
Yeah. And then it amounts to the Battle of the Fallen Angels, and it's pretty similar to what you expect, except like Jet's kid is involved, if I remember correctly. It's in the same.
Faye saves the day.
Faye saves the day.
Oh god! Welcome to the heart. I was like, oh god.
Oh, welcome to the heart, motherfucker. No, it was welcome to the ouch. Right, that's right.
Oh, yeah, the hurt of the ouch.
That's an oof line. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
oh god, yeah. Go on though.
I guess it's more like an ouch line.
It was a pretty ouch line.
It's a very ouch line.
I read an article. It was a really good article on Vice, written by the great Jita Jackson, about like why does Netflix Cowboy Bebop sound like that? And it's basically like there was a huge. You guys ever seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
No.
You guys heard of it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Buffy the Vampire Slayer was a show that was either written or showrun by Joss Whedon, which is a name you've probably heard of, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, he basically does the Avengers.
He did the Avengers for a couple. Stuff. He did a couple of Avengers movies, right? And if you know it, so obviously in the MCU, characters are known for quipping quite a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a thing they do. It's actually like reminds me, like the stuff in Bebop reminds me a lot of the stuff in the MCU as far as dialogue goes sometimes. But basically is like, this show has the problem of being like a show, or the Netflix Cowboy Bebop dialogue feels like often it is spoken by like high schoolers, because Buffy the Vampire Slayer is full of quips. But the thing is, the setting is set in a high school. So like obviously teenagers are going to say some cringe shit or some wacky shit sometimes. That makes sense. But like in Cowboy Bebop with a bunch of adults who have like lived, pretty interesting lives for the most part, or not interesting, but like kind of shitty lives, sad lives, depressing lives, say just the most wacky shit that only like would make sense if a teenager said it. And
exactly.
Just
like I said,
why?
The way Faye was written out sounds like a teenager. Every time she's talking, she's always calling Faye, he's always calling Spike and Jet dickheads.
Well, that's why, like, saying, like, welcome to the ouch, motherfucker sounds like something, like, a 17-year-old would say. Or, like, a 14-year-old
a Tumblr post.
Well, it sounds like an action scene or an action something an action star would say in like a comedy action movie, like a zombie apocalypse movie,
like
you know what I mean?
Disney action movie or something.
Ghostbusters 2016.
Yeah, or
maybe.
like
Sure.
Zombieland 3.5. You know,
yeah, something like
Saga.
That.
Oh, I love
like, isn't that wacky and silly? But
sure.
Basically, it's like in an episode. Like, why would you do that in an episode where it's like this is a big serious moment? Like people could die. I mean, it doesn't matter because people have been shown to die in the most gruesome way. So
and in all of
that.
Bebop, when you really think in all of Bebop, because Ballad of Fallen Angels is one of my all-time favorite episodes. That the whole cathedral scene is supposed to be really tense, serious, if not almost somber, like scene of all of Bebop.
Do you want to reveal the big twist?
I mean, to do the honors.
Dude, do it. You do it. I want to see you do it.
Okay, so
warning: this podcast may contain spoilers as well as coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Oh, thank you, Moz.
Okay, so
not a spoiler for you, Moz.
I'm revealing the spoiler for Moz because Moz hasn't seen like.
And I could not give any less of a fuck.
Okay,
and that's what I'm appreciative of because I'll be very like put off if Moz was like, no, don't. I want to watch it. Like,
no, I want to watch it. Actually, it sounds
Moz,
really good.
Please. So what happens is, Faye saves Jet and Spike, and she gats all the syndicate guys down except for Vicious because plot armor. And then Faye flies Jet and his daughter out at the same time, and they're like, Spike, get on. And Spike's like, no, I got something to finish here. Then Jet lets him go. They're like, all right, go do it. And then as he walks in,
because Jet realizes, Spike's part of the syndicate, and
have fun, Spike.
Yeah, it's like you got it. It wasn't that departure feeling that they had in the final episode of Bebop, which was a lot more painful. And obviously, as Spike walks into the cathedral, you hear rain. It's sung in a different. It's sung by different.
Here it comes! Here it comes! Right?
Yeah, here it comes, and it's just the best thing ever. And to side note with that version of Rain, I think that's a real version from the original soundtrack. It was sung by someone else, but I think
wait, was it sung by the dude?
Yes.
Okay, Steve Kant. Steve Kant.
Yeah, and that's a legitimate.
Did they use Steve Kant's version in the anime, right? Or did they use the? No, they used my I forget her last name, but she does the ED as well. So
correct. So I wasn't mad about that, but obviously hearing the song, I was like, I don't feel anything. Goes up the stairs. Spike kills 2 more people, which I think one of them was Shin, who's supposed to be kind of a friend of his in the anime.
Oh,
but, I don't fucking remember that. I don't.
No, these are details I
don't remember Shin at all, like from the anime or the series.
I did just like finish. I like watched the last 5 episodes of the anime a couple of days ago, so I know Shin.
Yeah, he doesn't make it, but
not that important, but whatever.
Not
the notion.
And then he gets to the top. And then Vicious and Spike duke it out, and it's a pretty decent fight scene, sword versus gun, gung fu as they call it. And like the thing that, first of all, another side note that really stuck out that kind of ruined the moment once again, is that when Vicious took up his katana in a more serious fashion, you hear the most generic Japanese guitar / drum roll.
Oh yeah,
they play that.
The
and
show
I'm like,
loves its tropes, dude. Like,
and in my mind, I'm just like, me and my buddy were laughing at work, like, oh, by the way, look at this Japanese influence in this show in space. Wow,
can't you tell that it was made by Japanese people?
Yeah, dude, this guy's using traditional sword plus the traditional art form that we never explained, and it's like, oh. And as they fight it out, the Spike loses. And Vicious gets better of him. He does the classic line, "You should see yourself right now," which even when they say all the classic lines from the anime, like the angels and devils, it didn't hit as hard. And guess who saves Spike? Julia. Julia shoots Vicious. Vicious falls. And then Julia starts convincing Spike, hey, Vicious is down.
I'm the captain now.
Why don't we take the syndicate for ourselves? And Spike's like, no, I'm done with that life. I love you, but I'm done with that life. Then Julia gets this weird character development of tired of being afraid, becomes stronger at that moment because she's got Vicious at gunpoint, shoots Spike out the window. And
so yeah, the iconic Spike getting pushed out of the
window.
The stained glass is Julia.
Julia's doing
Vicious, which is like. the most insane thing I've ever seen in this show.
Yeah, and
like,
you get and then you get Greenbird playing in the background, which that song lives in my head.
And I'm like, am I supposed to have the same experience that I did in the anime with
right.
this shit? Like, whoa!
Because the feeling's different. Spike feels even more betrayed because now the woman he loves shot him. Killed him, apparently.
I guess so.
And then, I feel so betrayed. You know, what happened? Like, is it my fault? Her fault? Has she gone mad? Well, in the anime, it's just Spike just trying to repent for his past and fight this demon that's trying to kill him. Vicious, you know, he throws a grenade.
He's fighting his demons.
He's fighting his demons. It's a battle within himself. But this one became... So this is what blows my mind in a negative way. There's going to be a second season, apparently.
Yeah, so we're a bunch of idiot fucks who, I don't know, might have assumed that there was going to be a season 2 of this shit. I don't know why we assumed so. I don't know. There was nothing to assume that there wasn't going to be until a few days after we recorded this episode when it was officially announced that they are not going to continue it. Netflix has officially canceled Cowboy Bebop. Hooray! I actually debated as to whether or not I should keep this section in because, you know, we're literally going to speculate as to what would happen in a supposed season 2. But you know what? I'm just going to keep it in because it's funny. It's pretty funny just, you know, listening to us be so blissfully unaware. So I hope you enjoy.
And now it's going to be Spike versus Julia?
It's also going to be Spike in the game. Because, like, I don't know if you mentioned this. The game kind of breaks up at the end.
I did not mention that. Correct. Yeah, Jet totally turns his back on Spike.
Jet tells Spike to fuck off.
Yeah, I'll kill you if I see you again.
Faye fucks off for some reason. I don't know.
Faye's always coming and going.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm okay with that. And the reason why Faye leaves is because she's actually she found the exact area where she was born, so she's gonna go there real quick. And she's like, I got to do
in the
this.
anime.
Yeah. So that's fine. But
well,
then
the thing is, like, I kind of wish it was like, I wish the show was just one season, if anything. Like, I wish it would just end on that. Like,
right. I mean, you could
I'm okay with that ending. Like, okay, we've all kind of resolved our past in some way. There's no more story to tell.
But it's Hollywood. They're going to milk it.
And it's just like, are we going to get the band back together in season 2? Like,
right, because at the end of this, you know, Spike is left alone. Like, Jet flies out. He's like, if I see you again, I kill you. Then Spike's just like, cool. Goes on a drunken stupor, collapses outside of a bar, and then you get Radical Edward. And the actress is doing her best, you know, like,
I feel bad for her actress because, like, how what
do you
kind
do
of
that?
directions do you get for that? Like,
act crazy action.
Act crazy.
Well, that's what me and my brother were talking about. We were like, we get that you guys are trying to be accurate with each character, sure. But to replicate Ed in real life, that's going to be really hard. It's like actors in real life trying to replicate Uwu. It's not cute in real life, or like blushing and all the anime tropes.
I wouldn't say
and all that
replicate,
stuff.
but you could. What's the term?
Sound it out.
I wouldn't say absorb, but like you can come off of like the same vibe as Edward, but not be Edward specific exactly. If that makes sense.
Yeah, because if you try,
so here's the term: adapt. That's the word I'm looking for. That's what a real adaptation is. It's not like obviously shot for shot.
Right.
It's like different, but still kind of like conveys like ideas or themes of whatever you're trying to adapt, right? Like there's still that magic there. There's still that feeling there. But like with Edward, it's like, did they try to be like exactly like the anime? Because like that's not gonna really that's because I'm not gonna say it's not gonna work, but it's really difficult to do.
It's hard
because Ed is a cartoon character and they act like a cartoon character. It's like trying to adapt Looney Tunes into real life.
Hey, come on!
At that point, you just have to animate Ed. Like you should have just done.
That's not the same thing.
I'm just saying.
I'm making fun.
I'm talking like if you made Bugs Bunny a person.
Come on and slam. And welcome to Japan. Come on. Okay, I'm sorry, but but yeah, it's. I mean, if they were to not redo Ed, but I would have been okay if Ed just showing up and just being like kind of a computer maniac, because we've seen the computer maniac tropes in other movies. Always on the computer, typing fast.
The show loves to celebrate its like stupidest tropes.
Right.
Awesome.
And there you go. This is their opportunity. But this one, they're going with, hey, try to get Ed dead on. We need you to. They didn't have Ed do this.
Fans are going to want
action.
this.
But like, I'm pretty sure they're going to try to get Ed to type with her feet or handstands and all that stuff.
Or just say some like crazy shit.
Yeah. And another weird side note, the crew before this big ending to the series in live action, they like abandoned Ein at random. Like in episode 8, they just abandoned Ein.
Aww,
and
so
then
sad.
But then when Ed came to pick up Spike, Ein was right there. So I guess they kind of shoehorned that relationship, like, oh, by the way, the dog never left.
I think in the show, because like obviously Ed is really good at hacking, right? I think Ed knew where they were all the time, and I think Ed wanted to just hang out with them,
right?
Kind of like in the anime, like just like, oh, yeah,
like we out here kind of deal. So looking towards the future, I have no idea what they're going to do now, because it does feel like it's going to be Spike fighting the Syndicate with Julia as the head. Sure.
God, no.
I know. At this point, because I'm going to go off on my like small tangents about like what they should have done. But if you guys don't know, there is a Cowboy Bebop manga. I would have been all for the live action adapting the manga, because there's a lot of good stories in there. It's the same deal. It's still sporadic. There's like a bounty that they're after inside this one Chinese restaurant. Then there's like another girl that Spike runs into that's sort of eccentric, and like he sees something in her kind of deal. And these all have really nice resolutions. I've read these back to back a lot, and it's generally good stuff for like the Bebop universe. If they adapted that, I would have been all for it. But now they're following the story at the same time changing it. You know, you know that little.
There's nothing wrong with really changing it, but there's like it's like they change it for the worst, or like the change doesn't like make it better. You know what I mean? Or like it doesn't work on its own.
Right. And so I have I could go on for hours like alone. Like you guys could leave the call and I'll just like talk randomly about. Like,
I will actually.
Good.
I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Good. I know, but
I am so tired. I'm going to bed. Good night, guys.
Good night. Love you, man.
Like, no, I was kidding. I'm done.
Oh, okay. No, because I don't want to keep you long. I know we're at hour.
I am
30
laying
now.
down on my couch, though.
Hell yeah, dude! Couch cast, yo, dude, lay down with Moz on the couch, casting couch.
Yeah, I regret not committing to a live action podcast now, because so you could just watch me laying down and with my eyes closed.
Well, we do have some plans in the future, but it's I don't really have much to look forward to the series. There's so much more. Like Gren, who was the bartender at that one place. I
didn't realize the person in the bar was supposed to be Gren.
That's supposed to be good. The saxophone
radically
player,
different. I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind the character that they have in the show. I just didn't know that was Gren. I legitimately didn't know that was Gren until someone said, "Oh, Gren." I'm like, "Oh, wait, really?"
And I'm not, you know,
because they almost like completely skipped like Jupiter Jazz.
Oh yeah, and Jupiter Jazz is a really good story.
That's like
one of the
that's like the only like two-parter in the entire series.
Yeah, I think Battle of Fallen Angels two-parter, that one, and that was.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, I don't really have much else to say, because the rest is ranting that people have heard before, and not to dismiss our efforts in this episode, but I highly recommend people watch Mother's Basement's video on it, because I agree.
I thought MB's video was pretty good on it. It touched on a lot of issues I had.
Right. So all I could say from this point onward is, if there's anyone out there that hasn't seen Bebop, please watch it. It's, as much as I meme about my other favorites. Don't be discouraged
by the Flixbop. You gotta just go watch it.
It exists. Like the Flixbop, it's like dropping a piece of art. You have this beautiful piece of art, you drop it, now there's a blemish on it, and everyone's gonna notice it, but it's
drop it on a big rock, and it was pierced by the sharp rock, and you're just like, oh, cool.
I know, it sucks. And then
changes were made.
And Bebop in itself is still, to me, the greatest series of all time in my lifetime. Like it's number one for me. And I know I talk about Goop and Love Live and all that stuff.
I actually didn't know that about you.
He's a huge Bebop fan.
Dude, I'm looking at it right now. I got signatures of my vinyl Bebop thing. I even bought the Bebop
that's the coolest.
artwork.
That's the coolest thing ever. It's like
that's a flex right there.
Yeah, that's actually a huge flex.
Dude, I paid a pretty penny for that, and I remember just so much.
Oh, hang on. It's not surprising that Bebop is your favorite, because you like Girls in Panzer so much. and that's about tanks. And the theme for Cowboy Bebop is called Tank.
Holy fucking shit, dude!
It's all connected.
Oh my god,
it's all connected. Side note too, I remember there was an interview with Watanabe way back when the Bebop live action was kind of being talked about and stuff like that. But then they asked him truthfully, like, will there be any more Bebop in the future? And then he said, someday there'll be more Bebop. And that someday, sadly, is now, and we got this. And I kind of wish he never said
that just to be, like, mysterious. I don't think he actually was actually to make more Bebop anime.
I know. I think he was trying to be like Spike. We're like, hey, whatever happens, happens.
Let me say, depending on when that was, that might have led into Carol and Tuesday, because Carol and Tuesday takes place
in the same universe, or Space Dandy, which takes place in the same universe.
Dude, I gotta watch that.
Hang on. Carol and Tuesday takes place in Alba City, which is the setting for Knocking on Heaven's Door.
No kidding.
What? I didn't even
no kidding. Okay, go check out Carol and Tuesday, everyone. Okay, time to burn my Bebop stuff. I'm all about Carol and Tuesday.
I don't know. Maybe some sort of idea got funneled into that. I have no idea. I have no idea when that interview was or what the fuck he was talking about.
No, that was many years. I think that was like early 2000s.
Just high. Who knows?
No, dude, I don't do stuff like that. I'm straight edge.
You. I was saying Watanabe was high. I don't know.
Okay.
That would make sense, because there's a whole episode of Shampoo that has... It's about weed, so like
check out Samurai Champloo. Nice. And stay tuned, guys, for the live action of Yu Yu Hakusho and One Piece. They are not going to mess this one up.
We're going to have to do an episode about the live action Yu Yu Hakusho.
Guys, it's looking rough. I can't take this. See, I was going to say, I have to. Okay, go on. Sorry,
a year or two ago, they announced a live action Steins Gate, and they've been real fucking quiet about that.
I feel like you could actually kind of do that well.
Here's the thing. Here's the deal. I do have a friend of mine who says, hey, this is just the dark age of live actions. They're gonna get better, right? Because he says way back, superhero movies used to be trash, and now they're really good. It's all the rage.
They started out with fucking Spider-Man, and that shit ruled.
Yeah, so exactly. That's always my counterpoint. But my thing is this. Okay, let's say anime live actions do get better, right? Why is it that one of the big cult classics in anime needed to be a stepping stone for the next thing? Are these guys going to be paving the way for a live action anime series that no one cares about?
I'm going to get a live action ReZero. We're going to get that.
We're going to get live action ReZero, and it's going to be surprisingly well done, and it's going to get all this like attention. And I'm going to be standing in the back like, oh, I wish my anime got that treatment.
Wasn't Battle Angel Alita kind of a good adaptation?
Okay, so technically Battle Angel Alita, which is a movie that I stan, because that movie rules.
Yeah, it's amazing. Awesome. Well, that was my first time consuming anything Alita. I was going to say,
it's a technicality thing, because it was more or less based on the manga, more than like the anime or the OVAs from the 80s.
Right.
Okay, I guess we can say that.
But like even then, the other one, it's not like most manga adaptations are great, except for like, I don't know, the Edge of Tomorrow or whatever. I think.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Edge of Tomorrow.
It's
okay.
I don't know. I would say like
I guess that goes back to Bacon's point to just adapt the Cowboy Bebop manga. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Adapt the manga. You know, and
if I were to give my opinion for season 2, is that I actually kind of hope they do like completely original episodes. Like they don't even adapt the anime. Like they just do their own thing. I feel like I kind of wish
if they're gonna make Julia the fucking main villain.
Yeah.
What's she gonna do now?
You kind of have to
do. Bitch.
I kind of hope there's less of the main villain, and like it's kind of like the anime where like Vicious is here and there, but not like here's the Vicious part of the episode.
To let you know,
like,
Maz,
or here's the Julia part of the episode.
To keep you up to date, Maz, if you care, Vicious is captured now and locked in a basement, and Julia refuses to kill him.
He's not even dead. He's just vibing there.
Locked in his mother's basement.
Yes. We'll just say that.
We all know that's torture. Ha ha! I'm joking. He's great.
I'm locked in my own basement. So do you think that Vicious will break out of prison and then join up with Spike and break down Julia later on?
That would be this. That would, I wouldn't put it past this show. I really, because you know what, Spike's going to put his past behind Because that's where the past belongs.
Oh,
He's going to team up with
then
Vicious to take down Julia and the Syndicate.
And then Spike and Vicious are going to get in the car, and Spike's going to look at Vicious and go,
Vicious is going to be part. You know what? They're going to like Jet and Spike are going to make up, and then Vicious is going to be part of the squad, and it's going to be like it's going to be fan fiction.
And then Faye Valentine is the main villain.
No. And then
the
Spike,
real Cowboy Bebop was the friends we made along the way.
Dude, why is this going to work? That's going to happen.
Ironically, the anime is about like the friends we made along the way.
Yeah,
I'm offended. No, Spike's gonna look at Vicious and he's be like, "One last ride, one last ride,
dude."
And they're gonna ride into the sunset.
They're gonna ride spaceships into the sun.
Each other, because remember, they always have to be having sex.
Oh, great!
I think Spike and Vicious should fuck. I think that would be an interesting move. I think it would piss off a lot of fanboys for sure, who are like homophobic or something. They're like, I don't want gays in my show.
Yeah, I think you guys are dead on with what's gonna happen. I'm gonna come back to this episode when season 2 comes out, and if Maz is dead on, I'm gonna fly over to you and strangle you.
I
did you
want
give
all
him
these
the
things to
idea?
happen.
Why'd you give him the idea? Okay, I'm kind of mentally exhausted now. Like,
don't strangle me. I'll just give you my sealed Pokemon cards.
Oh,
you
dude.
can have them.
Oh, you get carded at the club, don't you?
Pokemon episode when? Okay, I think I'm all done here. Wait, can I tell one last story, please? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Okay, so going back to the very beginning of this episode when I said 1, 2, 3, let's go. So I have a buddy of mine at work, super great dude. He's hilarious, right? And I love working with him. When I first arrived in the area and I started like working around and doing my like mechanic stuff, I was seated next to him, and naturally you just start talking to your seatmates. And this dude, you know, like he's cool. He's into motocross and like BMX stuff like that. And I started just talking anime and how I'm like nerdy, like I watch all the stuff and got him into games and stuff like that. And I mentioned Cowboy Bebop at one point. I'm just like, yeah, if you want to watch anime, like I'd start with Bebop. And then he's like, no, I've seen Bebop. And then he quotes Bebop's opening like this. Oh, no, I've seen Bebop. 1, 2, 3, let's go. And I almost dropped my tools.
And that right there is how I would describe the Netflix series is 1, 2, 3, let's go.
I didn't want to be that weeb. I was just like, dude, good effort, but it's actually 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Dude,
yeah, I know, like, I didn't want to sound like that, but I was laughing really hard.
I think that would have been like a valid time to do that. I think
it
needed to be
would be
said.
a valid time to do that. Look, if you don't know the exact timing to the end of the OP,
oh, dude. Yeah.
If you don't know the exact moment when the drum fill comes in, don't even fucking talk to me.
Dude.
Shut the fuck up,
dude,
and
preaching.
Fuck
this
off.
is really valid.
Preaching to the choir, dude. Holy
super
God,
duper valid. Yeah. Super duper valid, dude.
All right,
let these hoes know, dude.
I will let these hoes know, man. Oh God. How are they gonna put the last song "Blue" at the end, man? That song makes me cry every time I hear it. Like, there's no way it's gonna work.
They didn't put Blue in the Netflix series. No,
and they didn't play the real folk blues every time at the end. I remember you said that. It was the
fake folk. That was that was the thing that bothered me a lot, actually.
Yeah.
That, like, okay, I like that.
Blues.
The fake ones. Yeah.
I know, dude.
Oh, it's okay. The episodes would just end with like songs from the soundtrack, which was
their own soundtrack.
Why was that like decision made? Like, what does that add to it necessarily? Exactly. Is what I'm wondering. It was odd. It was very, very odd.
I do agree with Mother's Basement's like tip for the staff, especially the sound staff and like the music staff. They need to listen to the entire soundtrack constantly, so then that could give you a good groove of how to make the rest of the series on Netflix. Because I feel like we didn't get enough of the original soundtrack. They just put it in places where like it would kind of make sense.
They put like the more iconic songs in places that you think they would work, kind of.
Dude,
like,
I don't want to be that guy, but dude, almost every
this is a tense moment. We're gonna put piano black here or some shit. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dude,
this is an emotional, cool moment. Oh, we're gonna throw in Spaceland. They know that song. Yeah,
God. I'm gonna listen to the soundtrack and rewatch Bebop all over again. It's so good. Everyone out there, rewatch anime Bebop. Watch it if you haven't seen it. watch the Netflix live action if you want. That's up to you. And
I mean, if you're drunk and you just want to watch something to like laugh at, then go ahead.
No, if you're gonna be drunk and laugh at something, watch them stand up.
Hey, I've got a good question to end us off with.
Okay.
Although Becker has already mentioned what it is throughout the show, throughout this podcast, but what is your favorite episode of Bebop?
Oh, I have a top 5, I think.
Wait, the anime?
Yeah, go top 5. Yeah, anime,
okay.
Of course. No one gives a shit about what your favorite episode of the live action is.
I don't have a favorite one.
Yeah, my favorite is not watching it. That's my favorite. Okay, who would like to start?
What's your top 5, Bex?
Oh, okay, so Pierre LaFaux, Mushroom Samba, the one where it has like all the one with the VHS tapes, obviously.
That's the brain thing?
Not the Brain Scratch is also one of my favorite episodes.
Brain Scratch is a good one, yeah.
The one where Faye watches the videotape of herself from the past.
Oh,
that's a nice moment.
Okay.
She just stands there and there's like no music and she's just watching herself from the past, and that's a lovely moment.
Yeah, I got it now.
And then I think Waltz for Venus is my other favorite.
Ooh, man.
I know people really like a lot of like the backstory ones, and I do too. But like, I generally really like the episodic
Waltz for
ones.
Venus is the one where he meets that kid, and he teaches him the like water thing.
No, that's
is that
actually that's one of my least favorite episodes. Is the Boogie Woogie Feng Shui? That's low key my least favorite episode.
The Feng Shui episode sucks.
No,
dude, that was a bad episode.
Boogie Woogie Feng Shui was about
that's the worst episode.
Boogie Woogie Feng Shui is about Jet.
That's a Jet episode. No, I'm talking about the one in the middle of the series where he meets his ex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. With the pocket watch.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yes.
Oh, it shows how much of a fan I am. Gosh.
I just rewatched the series for this podcast. It's like I wanted to get a little bit of a, because it's been like maybe like 5 years since I watched the anime, and I realized like, oh wow, I remember a lot from this show.
Right.
And if I wanted to speak on it, this show, like, I resonate with it in like different ways now than I did when I was like 18 when I watched it. It's like, okay, I'm a little bit more aware of what's happening in the world. I'm an adult. Seeing people struggle in life in a world that, like, it's definitely not what it once was, is, to put it lightly, like, pretty relatable on some level. Like, this, like, the universe of Cowboy Bebop is ultra depressing, right? Nothing good ever happens, for the most part. And that feels a lot, like, I don't want to be a doomer, but, like, that feels like life, like, in current times right now. It's like, we live in very depressing times, not just because of COVID, but, like, you know,
in general,
climate change, political instability, all of these things. It's like, God, everything's fucked, right?
No big booty bitch.
There's...
Oh no!
You ever seen that Richard Dawkins tweet where he's like in Seattle and he's like, I saw a homeless guy with a pit with like one of those signs that said I need me like something in like a thick booty bitch, and it's like he's like, what did he mean by this? And I'm like, what do you think?
That's probably where this came from.
And I'm just thinking, like, what do you think he meant, Richard? Like, he needs a thick bitch. Shit, like that's pretty self-explanatory. Whatever. Right. Anyway, like, this show is, like, I mean, of course, like, all the characters have their own past, and they like to forget it, and we all have things that have happened in our past that we love to forget or move on from, but we just can't quite, for some reason. I don't know, maybe I'm speaking a little, maybe it's TMI, but I think everyone can relate to that on some level.
I relate to a lot because there's just things in my head that, like, never actually leave.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is, like, maybe,
just, like,
I mean, like,
I keep thinking
time-wise,
about it.
it's in the past, but, like, in your head, it never goes away. Like, which is, you know, goes back to Spike, you know, seeing the past and seeing the present at the same time.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah, they never referenced that in the live action. Cool.
I thought that was an interesting choice. The show is a lot less, the Netflix series, like, just, look, I'm not saying subtlety is the best form of storytelling, but, like, Cowboy Bebop, like, loves its subtlety, for sure.
Right.
Or rather, it tells its story in, like, you know, a more beautiful sense than, like, here's the point in the in like the Netflix series. Like,
yeah,
we're going to hit you over the head with it.
Yeah, we're trying to make sure you understand it.
Like in the Netflix series, they will just talk about like, oh, you can't walk away from your past, and you'll just like see this like dramatic like pause after that.
Right.
Like, okay, I get that.
There are times where like you don't need to talk, just like when Asimov was like flying away.
It's like in the anime where like Jet's asking about like Spike's past, and then Spike asks about like Jet's arm.
Yeah,
right. And they just kind of stand there, and it's like they don't answer any of the questions. Like,
that's
you
one
get
of my,
what that's about instantly.
That's one of my favorite moments because it's kind of like, hey, if you're gonna ask something I don't want to answer about, I'm gonna do the same to you and see how it feels, kind of deal.
Yeah, like
how'd you
neither
lose?
of us want to really want to talk about it. So
exactly,
like, we're on the same page, kind of thing.
Yeah,
yeah.
I like that
this
interaction.
Anime is just it's like so beautiful, dude.
10 out of 10, man. Like I never stop thinking about it sometimes.
Good anime, dude.
Delicious.
Yeah. All right, so to recap.
Okay, I forgot to ask
favorite episodes.
Right.
I never said mine, but go on. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was just to recap: Pierre LaFaux, Mushroom Samba, Brain Scratch. What was the other one? Waltz for Venus and
Waltz for Venus.
What is actually, I think I have the episode title. Let me find it for the videotape one, because I do want to say the episode name. Fuck.
So
what is it called? Yeah. Okay. Speak like a child is what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah.
So mine would be no particular order, obviously. First episode, Asteroid Blues. And then Battle of the Fallen Angels. I actually really liked Black Dog Serenade, the one with Udai Taksim.
That's a good one too.
Yeah,
it's hard to pick really 5, like low key.
Yeah, and it's really dark.
Yeah.
Going off of you, Père LeFou, like really good one, and obviously not, kind of cheating, but The Real Folk Blues, even though it's a 2-parter at the very end of the series, I'm just gonna round it up and say The Real Folk Blues Part 2, which is the conclusion of the entire series. More like
the really long folk blues shit.
I know,
like 2 parts.
Really long,
what the fuck?
Yeah, really long list of folking blues. All right. Well, I think we've said enough.
We didn't ask Mose.
I just have one. The thing is, I can't answer with a top 5 because here's the thing: I watched Cowboy Bebop over a 3-year period. I started watching it back in 2018, and then I just watched an episode randomly, whenever.
I remember seeing your screenshot on Twitter, and I was like, "Oh, there's my old account. Holy shit, this is old."
I watched Bebop when Becker had his old Discord account, and my god, I only just finished it this week, so I'm gonna say my favorite episode overall is Cowboy Funk.
Okay, I like that.
Is that the Cowboy Andy one?
Yeah,
dude, the guy who thinks he's a cowboy.
Andy.
That was just the most pure comedy episode, and it was just so goofy and over the top.
Okay, I love. Okay, so this is just like a dupe thing, but I love the way that he says "teddy bomber" sounds like "titty bomber," and I'm like, dude, you saying "titty bomber"?
Then he turns into a samurai at the end. And I was like, this guy.
What a grifter! Amazing.
He's appropriating cultures. I'm offended. I'm joking. Yeah. Obviously. Okay. Are we good? Ready to?
I think we're jamming.
Are we ready to carry that weight out of here?
Are we ready to shut the fuck up?
I'm carrying that weight because I'm fat. So really, I resonate with that line
big freaking same. Are you carrying that weight? I have to. It's attached onto me.
Yeah, I'm fat. That's why.
No. I'm just parking it to the side, man. I'm not carrying it. Well. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Bex and Moz, for joining me in my time of need. I always appreciate it.
This is like a therapy session for you.
It is, dude. Oh my god, this
needs therapy
Netflix Cowboy Bebop series
after watching all of the
now?
Netflix.
Honestly,
is it in the room?
All right, so after this, we just kind of talked amongst ourselves and meandered for a little while. So I'm going to cut that off. This is the end of the podcast. Thank you very, very much for listening. Although if you do want to hear us meander and talk amongst ourselves for a few minutes, I'm going to upload the outtake onto my own channel. It's just some stuff that we were just talking for a few minutes before the podcast actually recorded. And I have this audio because I record all the episodes in OBS as a backup, just in case something were to happen to the Audacity recordings.
So that's there, and, it's just a random conversation we had. There's nothing really special there, but it might be funny. It might be amusing to people. So, yeah. And also, you can follow us on Twitter at Tokyo Podfathers. We've been counting down to something big. We have a big announcement coming up. It's a good announcement. It's a very, very good announcement. So I hope you are excited for that. I hope you will enjoy it when it comes. And you can not follow, but you can find us on Discord and do some stuff with us. We've been watching all of the EDs of the year. Actually, we've been watching all the OPs, but we finished that by the time this episode will come out. And we're going to move on to all of the EDs. Each week, we go over all the EDs of a particular season. So it's been a lot of fun listening to some music and watching some weird stuff and, finding out about all this anime that's like, oh, wow, this existed and no one watched it in this season. And, yeah. And, I don't know. If you want to support us, like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. That's the only way. If you can't comment, I'm sorry. I wish there was a way you could comment because we always enjoy getting comments. And it helps us a lot. But, yeah. I don't know. So I guess that's it. So, yeah. Goodbye.